Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of Fireside Chat with the Johnstons. I'm Danielle Johnston, and I am your host for today's episode.
Hello there.
Guys, if you are not familiar with Fireside Chat, I want to welcome you to this podcast. I'm excited to have you here. I am one of the owners of Twister Sports in Warrensburg, Missouri, as well as one of the owners of Next Generation Gym Owners. NextGen helps gym owners to earn their freedom, grow their gyms, and build profitable programs so that they can go back to what they enjoy doing, which for some people is coaching, and for others, it is running a business. So today, I am super excited because in light of 4th of July, which most of you probably just celebrated, we are going to be talking about freedom and what that means in the business world.
Happy Independence Day to everyone.
I know for the past couple of years, I've had gym owners here and there say, I know you talk about gym owners being free from being tied to their gyms, but what does that actually mean? So we're going to get into that today. Guys, freedom doesn't just mean that you can go on vacation here and there.
You sure about that?
It is literally a business model, and it's a business model for sustainable gyms. It means that you're not held hostage to your gym. You're not the one necessarily getting calls at 10 p.m. at night saying, we don't understand how to lock up the doors, or it's not locking right, or, we're not sure what to do with the mats, or is there something going tomorrow morning? Do we have to clean tonight? It's not getting those sort of calls. Being free from your business means that you have things systemized and delegated to the point that other people kind of hit those patterns before you do. There's a list of people that your staff is gonna call before it hits you, right? That they have systems in place. They have procedures and processes that they know, that they've been trained on, that they know they will be held accountable for. And so they do those things in your absence. Freedom in itself allows you to do so many more things for your gym, and I believe that freedom from your gym actually allows you to grow it so much more from the outside. One of the big problems that we see and that we hear about from gym owners is that they are tied to day-to-day operations. So I can't tell you how many gym owners I talked to at our most recent conference who said, I would love to do something like add this program or take on, this new staff member or something, but they can't because they said, I just wouldn't have the time to do it. I'd love to take on a full-time person, but I wouldn't have the time to train them.
See, there's so much to do and I have so little time to do it in.
I'd love to start All-Star Dance at my gym, but I wouldn't have the time to start it. I'd love to join the Next Gen Academy so that I know that I can grow and further my business, but I wouldn't have the time to commit to it. So while I can appreciate and value those boundaries for time, I think the biggest problem that people have is that by working day to day and being that person day to day in the business, they're actually inhibiting their growth because of so many other things that have to take a back seat to simple things like calling people when their credit card is expired and chasing down payments and answering every email. When we talk about freedom, we're not talking about, your ability to just never be at the gym. To I don't go in Monday through Thursday. I go in on Sunday afternoon and that's it. A lot of people, that wouldn't satisfy them. Even for me, you guys, I had the seasons, especially the season where I was writing my book, the Cheer Gym Owner's Handbook. And in that process of editing, it was so time consuming. And there were moments that I was like, I just don't think that I can go into the gym tonight because I've got to get this done. And it's kind of on a deadline. I knew when I wanted to release it. I knew, what that meant for the editors and how quickly I needed to get those things to them. And so it took that deadline and it really pushed a lot of other things with the gym. Now, writing a book was a life goal for me. So it was totally worth doing that. But I had to really learn how to have a different kind of freedom from the gym. And what it meant was that there were times that I had to call and say, hey, the other coach has this under control. Do they need anything from me before I bow out tonight? You might be listening to this saying well, that's not fair to your team. And to be honest, I totally agree. And so halfway through the season, I actually gave my team to another coach. But there also was that element of freedom still, that during those times I had the ability to give it to another coach. I think when we feel hostage to our gym, it's because we feel like there's nobody to give things to delegate them. There maybe aren't systems in place. You as the owner wouldn't have the time to train somebody. You don't have the capacity for the accountability, like all of those things that actually make it valuable to have that freedom from your gym, and you're not set up for it. So a lot of owners have tried it in the past and now they are done with it. They don't want to do it again because it was more work than it was worth. Another thing I hear from gym owners is that they don't want to be not needed at their business.
This is my ship, my responsibility.
And I've actually coached a lot of clients through this over the years, where we focus on systemizing something and hiring great staff and training the staff so that they have great accountability within the gym and they're doing exactly what the owner needs. And over time, the owner's like, well, this is really cool, but now I'm not needed at my gym and I'm not really sure where to go from there. And actually, one of our coaches, Mallory, was in this position about 2 years ago. And we were working together and she's like, I feel like things go so smoothly. We're hitting our revenue goals. We're scaling and growing at a point. So scaling meaning like we're growing at a stage where we know we can maintain our retention. You know, our staff is in good shape with things. Nothing is growing too rapidly where it's going to hurt us. And she was in that position and she just came to our call one day. She's like, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do next. Like, everything is going so smoothly and I feel like they don't really need me. And so we started looking at her 10-year goals. So if you're at that point and you don't know what's next for you, what are your 10-year goals? Well, at that point, she wanted to expand her All-Star program. But even bigger, we found out that she wanted to buy her own building. Going from a smaller space to a much larger space was such a huge undertaking. And it required us to get her finances in order. She had to seek out banks. She had to seek out financing. She had to seek out someone to do the building. She had to set, a longer, 5 to 10 year plan of what programs does she want to see in that gym so that it could be built out correctly. Today, Mallory is operating out of that new gym. She's in the process of setting everything up, getting everything in the right positions. They are going to be doing, I believe, full operations out of the gym in just a couple of months. But imagine where she would be if she had put that own hold on her success. If she had said, I'm so afraid that they're not going to need me at one point, and that's not what I want. So I don't want to delegate this and that. Right? She knew that by delegating those things, eventually there may come a time that they don't need you anymore. And now you have to set your sights on something even bigger. And so by giving those small things and systemizing them and delegating them and holding people accountable for those things, imagine what it would feel like to just not be needed anymore. If you think of that and you think, well, that sounds awful, I want to be needed at my gym, I guess imagine being needed in a way greater position. She's able to offer these kids and these families so much more with this new, huge, beautiful facility that she never would have been able to do otherwise. And so as you're backing out of those different things to earn your freedom, you don't have to earn freedom just so you can go on vacations every other week. You're certainly welcome to if that's the kind of freedom you desire. But if the kind of freedom you desire is just, I kind of want to work on something bigger. Like I want to set my sights. I want to be able to think about next year rather than think about tomorrow. If that's the kind of thing you desire, then freedom is absolutely something that you should be focused on and taking the steps to get there. I think a lot of times if we do not feel like we are a martyr for our gym, like a yoga pant wearing 24/7 cheer watching martyr for our gym, that we're failing. And the reality is, I'm not telling you not to hustle. I think you should hustle. But I'm also telling you to build that freedom in so that if you need to rest from that hustle for a period of time, you have the ability to do so. If you want to take those extra steps and look toward the future, you can't be a martyr for your gym. In fact, we did a study in 2023, and one of the things we found out was that burnout was the number one reason people are closing their gyms. Being tied to cheerleading and holding it in a sense as your identity, because that's all you do 24/7, is a major cause of burnout. And you never want that burnout to be the reason that you end up closing your gym. Think about all those kids and the reason that you started your gym. The last thing you want to do is have it all go away tomorrow because you're too burned out to be able to think clearly. And that is one of the negative side effects of major burnout. When we don't have that freedom, we struggle to think clearly. So I can tell you, I take a decent amount of vacations a year. And it's because I have to. I am a very work hard, play hard kind of person. And I feel like I have been most of my life. And so in those moments where I am like nose to the grindstone, I am like super focused, not doing anything else but working for weeks on end, it's because I want to. My brain is on like full overdrive, and it's because I want to be doing those things, or I have a goal and I am like relentlessly pushing forth toward my goal. However, I cannot relentlessly push forth 24/7 and give the same level of effort and focus and attention if I'm doing it day in and day out.
I need a break.
I can do that for a few weeks or for a period of time. But at one point, I too experienced the burnout. And so if you can plan those things in advance where you have the freedom and you can say, you know what, in March, I'm going to take 10 days and it's in the middle of the season. I'm going to account for it now. I'm going to plan a 10-day vacation or staycation, and we're just not going to do a competition within a week or two of that. And that's going to be a vacation that I am planning in advance. Then you can prepare for that and you can give yourself that kind of clarity. If you're like me, a once a year vacation just doesn't cut it anymore. I am working my brain in overdrive so frequently that I have to have about 4 weeks a year of vacation to keep my brain in the point where it's fresh and it's constantly able to focus in that way. So last week, we were actually supposed to go to Italy, and due to kind of the political climate, we decided that we were going to put that trip on pause and postpone it for a little while. However, one thing I didn't do was all of a sudden say, okay, well, now I'm going to have my team practices and I'm going to go into the gym every day of the week because I happen to be here. Like, my brain still needed that rest. And so instead, I spent a little bit of time in the mornings just because I felt like I'm here and it just felt natural to do a little bit of work. There were days I did none at all, but I would say out of those like 8 days I was supposed to be on vacation, probably 4 or 5 of them, I did about 2 hours of work, and then I headed out to my pool. I read an entire book last week. I listened to music. There were times I was literally bored in the pool and I wanted to go do something else, but I forced myself to have that level of boredom so that this week, walking into work and walking back into team practices, I would be excited and revved up and ready to go. The problem is, if you don't have the freedom to do those things, or you let that constant plague of guilt sit inside of you that says, you're home, so you should be working. You're in town, so you should be at the gym. If you let those things plague you, you don't have freedom from your gym. If you don't have that freedom from your gym, it is going to steal any element of creativity and focus that you have if you run it too hard for too long. Another great benefit is not just the vacations, right? Those vacations are awesome, but the other great benefit of not being at your gym 24/7 is that you may have an opportunity for some side hustles along the way. Maybe you're like me, where if I work on the same thing every day, all day, for a whole year, I'm probably going to get a little bit bored. So my life kind of works out really nicely by having Twisters and Next Gen and CGM, which is Cheer Gym Marketing if you're not familiar with that. And then we also have rentals. And we do other things in our life. We've had foreign exchange students for a number of years. I try to help out with anything that they need as far as school or the high school cheer team. Like, if I can be at every event, I love to. I want to be there when my kids are doing things. Because of those things, because of the freedom that I've had over time, I've been able to do a variety of things. And I think it's really important that you give yourself the same liberty that somebody at a 9-to-5 would have. So if you're able to create that freedom, don't feel bad if all of a sudden you're like, you know what, I'm phenomenal at writing lesson plans. I'm going to create a 6-week lesson plan for recreational tumbling and I'm going to sell it online. Or I make amazing Canva templates. I'm going to go sell them on Etsy. Or I make bows and I'm going to go sell bows to the industry. Like, it doesn't have to do anything with cheerleading, but so many of you guys have so many skills that are really incredible that maybe you've been offering them to your gym for a period of time, that now you can offer them to the industry and have this separate side hustle.
I'm better than great. I am good.
Or maybe you're just really good at marketing for your own gym and you want to offer that service to other people in town. There are so many opportunities you can have, but if you are tied to your gym 24/7, you'll never really have enough capacity to do that. And so building that freedom for yourself can mean path A, you're going to take a whole bunch of vacations, or path B, you're going to make a whole bunch of money because you're going to be doing a different side hustle. Or path C, which is kind of what we choose, we're going to do both. Like, I'm going to go on the vacations, but I'm also going to hustle when I'm at home because I enjoy the day-to-day hustle as long as I get that freedom and that ability to relax and like revive my creativity several times a year. So like, you might be asking, do I actually feel like a staycation did it for me? Like, did staying home and working just a couple hours a day do it? And the answer is no, because I love to travel. And it's like, I made a joke to my staff, like, well, I don't know when my next vacation is, so why do I even wake up in the morning? Like, I made that joke to them and they all laughed because they know that that is ultimately what like revives me. And so did the staycation do it? Not really. It did it for a temporary period of time until we can go on a vacation, right? But for me, I know myself enough to know that that's what I need to stay refreshed. So as you begin this journey for freedom, or maybe you're in the middle of it, start looking at the triggers. What do you need to be refreshed? What do you need to be your best self as a gym owner? Ultimately, your gym is going to be better for it. When the owner is not there, it's actually better for the gym a lot of times. You find that there are people who are going to become experts in certain areas because you're no longer there to step in and micromanage and do it for them. You're going to find which staff members really stand out as incredible staff members. We had somebody recently who was asking if we offered a certain birthday party theme, and it wasn't something that was in our current offerings. However, our event director just went the extra mile and said, you know what, give me a little bit. I bet I can come up with something really great for you. And she essentially created a new birthday party theme for us off of what this person was looking for. Now, did it take her hours and hours? No, but also she made this a very memorable, tailored experience for a birthday party for someone who was choosing our top package at the gym. And so if you look at things like that, do I think that if I were the one taking the birthday party enrollment with all the other things that I have to do on a daily basis, I don't know that I would be able to give that same level of dedication and commitment to somebody. So when you get people in these positions, you're going to find that some really excel and really stand out, and they really love their jobs and they learn how to do it better than you could. And they don't go home at the end of the night and have that nagging feeling that like, did I finish payroll on time? Did I get it submitted? My accountant's still waiting for things for me for my taxes this year. Man, my lease is coming up next year. I feel really stressed. I probably need to go on Zillow and start looking at properties. Like, your staff doesn't have those feelings at the end of the night. Maybe they get a message here and there from parents who should probably just be emailing the gym, but they're not getting those like nagging feelings that they've missed out on things. And so a lot of times your staff is going to have a greater capacity, a greater focus, a greater ability to have those creative moments and to go the extra mile for people. But by being there 24/7, especially if you're a burned out owner, you're going to miss out on so many opportunities to really see your staff thrive. On top of that, when the owner is not at the gym all the time, it reinforces a couple of things. And these are important if you go to sell your gym at one point. It reinforces that you are not the brand. Danielle Johnston is not Twister Sports. If I leave tomorrow, if I die tomorrow, my gym can still run. My business partner, I fully hope and expect that she will be able to move forth and they will see the same levels of growth and they will see the same levels of retention and all of those things because my gym is not me. We don't hold the same brand identity. My gym is built off of a collective group of people. Now, I may lead that group, but it's built off a group of people who are working together as a team to build and embody that brand.
a strong team effort, we will win some.
And so it's good as the owner if you're not there all the time. Because if your customers say, when Susie is there and when Susie is not there, the gym is two completely different environments. Well, now you realize that you have a problem, and it's probably along the lines of culture or systems or accountability or staffing or one of those things. But if you can get yourself to a point where you have the systems, I think I've said this like 3 times. So if you guys haven't written this down, now is the time. You have the systems, you have effectively delegated, you have the right staff, and you're holding them accountable. If you can get to the point where you have that and you're not in the gym and you're hearing that the gym is still, 80-90% of the time running as if it would if you weren't there, what a beautiful position to be in. Because if at any point you feel that level of burnout, maybe you only go in for a couple of weeks for your teams. Maybe you only go in for a couple of weeks, if you're not coaching teams, you just go check on things, or you message your staff, how's everything going? I'm taking a staycation. I'm just refreshing my brain a little bit this summer, and I want to be fresh and ready to go before the fall season hits. So here is my challenge to you. If you have never done this, I want you to take a 72-hour sabbatical. And you can't do this immediately. You do have to prepare for it. But I want you to review the systems that you have in place, start positioning your staff so that they understand their roles, they know who is in charge. P.S. and side note, 1 person should be in charge. Do not put 2 in charge, because now you'll have that pull of, well, I thought that was your job. Well, I thought that was your job. Oh, I didn't want to step on your toes, right? 1 person should be in charge. There's a reason we don't have 2 presidents in the US. I want you to look at those things and look at those systems, and then set a time on the calendar to take a 72-hour sabbatical from your gym. It doesn't mean you have to go out of town. You don't have to do anything expensive. You don't even have to really leave, right? You can stay at your home, but it's important that you're not accessible during that time. It's important that you are taking that break from the gym. Maybe you've done this and you're like, Danielle, I could take a 72-hour peace out and not think twice about it. And if that's the case, that's great. I encourage you to test it out, add a couple days onto there until you can hit about 3 or 4 weeks without having to check in and do major things from the gym. Now, could I leave the gym for 4 weeks without having to do anything at all? At one point in time in my career with the gym, I could have absolutely said yes. At this point in time, I've taken back a few things that I really enjoy doing. So no, I couldn't, but they're all systemized. Somebody else has trained on all of those, and I could leave with minor preparation. So if you're thinking, how is this possible? I'll never get to that point. You absolutely can. And the team at NextGen can actually help you do that. So I recently heard somebody say, NextGen believes that you have to have expensive business coaching, and that's the message, and I'm not crazy about that message being conveyed. Actually, that's not true. There are so many valuable resources, but when you get stuck, or when you get to that point where you're like, I would like to see a little bit more growth, I would like to see more efficient systems, I would like to see a more increased level of delegation. Here's my goal, and I've been working to get there, and now I just want to get there faster. I want to get there easier. I want to get there with less resistance. Well, that's where I think it's valuable to have a business coach come in. And it's not forever, guys. We have clients who have been with us for 5 years that they're like, I feel like I've learned everything, and I'm really excited about this next stage where I can now go forth and see what can I do on my own. Right? And sometimes those people come back because they miss the level of accountability and the new and shiny. And sometimes they do amazing and they move on because that's the stage of business that they're at. And so for those of you that may be interested in what that looks like for you, head over to our website or take a look at our Cheer Biz Accelerator. Attending one of those events, it does release in just a couple of weeks here for registration. It is very limited access, but attending one of those events is a phenomenal kickstart onto your journey. And you may find out at that event that you then qualify for the NextGen Academy. So guys, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. I have got a really good one coming up next for you guys, where I'm going to give you a survival guide for teenagers. How to coach them successfully. I know Dan has talked about it on his seniors podcast before for the Cheer Biz podcast. He's talked about why he loves coaching seniors. I'm going to give you my take on it as somebody who has raised a couple of teenagers and now coaches them.
I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Make sure, guys, if you are not currently in the Cheer Gym Owners Facebook group and the All-Star Cheer Coaches and Owners Facebook group, that you head over to Facebook and request to join the appropriate group for you. For anything else I can help you with, guys, head over to nextgenowners.com, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode.